Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Dee's Media World. This was my second time recording this video because I thought it was actually recording before and it wasn't. So anyway, we're on episode 21, so we've done 20 whole episodes of Inuyasha, and now we're on episode 21, Naraku's True Identity Revealed. So this whole episode is kind of torn between sort of two different things going on. Kagome at home and Inuyasha in the present trying to fight off Royal Khan and his wolves with three eyes, and that's actually pretty interesting because they said in the last episode that Royal Khan is actually a gentle spirit or a gentle demon or something, which you actually never really see in the show, or at least I don't think we've seen yet of a demon that wasn't evil. So I'm actually more curious about Royal Khan's history because they said he was a gentle. Kaede said he was a gentle creature who rules the forest, and Royal Khan reintroduces himself or is reborn as, he says, the guardian of hell or something. I'm like, I kind of don't think the guardian of hell would be a wolf demon, but whatever. So Kagome's land, she is going to go on a date with Hojo. There's this whole joke with her grandpa. This is kind of a running joke in the show, that her grandpa makes up all these lies about her health and about how she has, I think that he said she has 10 different diseases by this point. I mean, in reality, he could have just said she has one major one, and then that's why she can't come in or whatever, but whatever. She senses the jewel after Shippo uses his multiply to hide from the wolf demons who are trying to get him in the shard, which was actually more than a shard. It's almost like a third of the jewel at this point, which I didn't even realize. I don't. Yeah, because they've caught a jewel shard the last couple of episodes, at least one in the last couple of episodes. But there's this whole discussion with, Kaede mentions this, but she says that Inuyasha needs Kagome to reach his full potential. And I find that interesting because he does, it's true. I don't think Inuyasha heard her say that, but I wonder how, I guess Kaede is just she's so intuitive that she hasn't even been around Inuyasha that much. But she knows that if Kagome is around to protect, I guess, because he needs someone to protect, she'll be right there. Inuyasha will come to his full potential. And Kagome actually is kind of like Inuyasha's cheerleaders in some ways. So, one thing that also made me laugh too was that Kagome ditches her date with Hojo just to go find out about Inuyasha. Now, if you want to argue when Kagome is officially in love with Inuyasha, I would definitely say about now, for sure, or close to it, because if you're on a date with someone else and all you can think about is somebody else's well-being, then someone you care about's well-being, then you probably need to go be with that person, which she does, with no regrets either. She even at the table with Hojo is sitting there and is like, she has this kind of almost love-hate relationship with Inuyasha where she's worried about him, but one second then she's mad at him, blames him for everything, blames him for, him not being able to study, not doing well in school, all that kind of stuff. So, it is what it is. So she goes through the well and sees Shippo, and they were about to get eaten literally by the wolf demons. They're wolf demons. And Inuyasha, as soon as he notices that Kagome's back in the arrow, he just goes gangster on the Royal Khan. He doesn't even finish him off. He's just like, okay, he's all of a sudden got this energy out of nowhere. And then he hits Royal Khan a couple times. Then he goes to go save Kagome. I'm like, it's funny because it's cute how funny it is, I think. He gets all this energy. One thing I noticed that the wolves, when they're coming to get Shippo and Kagome, they come down there really slowly for some reason. I know for dramatic tension that's the case, but I'm like, is there a reason y'all are coming so slowly? Like, if you want to get the jewel shard, just come get the jewel shard. Inuyasha literally takes the tree out of the well. He gets super, I know Inuyasha's superhuman, but he takes the tree, is practically flying in the air, and then shoves it down Royal Khan's throat and says he needs more fiber. As if Inuyasha would know what fiber is, but still, I was thinking when he kills Royal Khan that how often does a character on this show get choked to death? Most of the time they get just slayed or dissolve or something, or die in other ways, but this guy literally gets choked to death. That sucks. That would suck to die that way. The Inuyasha falling slow motion part cracks me up because who falls that slowly? I know it's done for dramatic tension, like Kagome and Inuyasha seeing each other for the first time, and I'm guessing 2 or 3 days or so. Not that long, probably. But, and then when Inuyasha's falling slowly, it seems like he's right in front of Kagome, but he's really like he's a couple of feet away from her, like 15, 20 feet away from Kagome, actually. And then she runs and hugs him, which is really cute. Another example of how she cares, and she cares about him, and how she kind of still misconstrues what he was doing, because she's like, "You didn't come back to get me," and he's like, "Well, I was trying to get rid of you." Sort of, he's trying to thinking, "I'm trying to get rid of you." So I guess she forgot that he intentionally pushed her down the well. I don't know. But it's a really nice scene between the two. I noticed that Inuyasha's like bewildered by Kagome's actions. Like when she says she needed to see him, he's like, "She needed to see me? What?" And then of course they get into an argument, as typical Inuyasha Kagome fashion. Then we're going to sort of the third different story in the same episode, which is Naraku again, and how he was nearby and he's been manipulating Royal-Con and everything. So she senses the jewel shards, but somehow she tells Inuyasha, "I sensed someone nearby and I still sense the jewel shard." But somehow Inuyasha knew exactly where to go, even though he didn't sense Naraku, which is interesting. Then while I wrote this down because I remember questioning it, not really questioning it, but wondering when Naraku and Inuyasha are talking, they kind of pan away to the snake falling in the water and then swimming away, and I'm like, is that what Naraku is? A snake in water? Was that symbolism of some kind, or was it just random? Like, because the show doesn't really do stuff like that, like show what some other random creature is doing when two characters are talking. So that felt a little random. So in this episode, big reveal of, it's called Naraku's true identity, which I suppose they're trying to say that his true identity is that he's a human, or he looks like a human. I mean, there's a lot more to learn about Naraku, but in here I think they were just trying to say that Naraku was Onigumo, and that Onigumo basically sold his soul to demons, and that those demons made him Naraku, and that ended up killing Kikyo and stuff like that. Because, Onigumo was actually in love with Kikyo and wanted to be with her and also be powerful. But there's this whole thing about her powers had weakened when she fell in love with Inuyasha, and she wasn't able to sense the jewels. She wasn't able to sense the evil around her because she had fell in love with Inuyasha. That's another thing that's going to be more deeply explored later. And because of this, she was punished for it with losing her life. So he even mentions something that I hadn't thought about before, which is that Naraku says she could have begged for her life and probably would have gotten it before she had died, or right before she had died, but she didn't. So that would have been an interesting story, that's for sure, if that happened. Naraku tries Inuyasha though. He says, if you truly cared for one another, why was the trust broken so easily? Yada yada. When there's this part, this is awesome, when Naraku does the whole mushroom sort of thing, miasma. Inuyasha pulls out the way that Inuyasha pulls out his sword, and sort of how gangster that looks. I just love it. I love how it's kind of like he comes out of the dark, and then the sword is the light, and it's pretty cool, I think. So we learn at the end that there's a spider on his back, so that's how you identify Naraku, or Naraku's, that's how you identify him, as there's a spider on his back. Which I think, did they say where it came from? Did they say where it came from yet? I don't know. But yeah, Inuyasha's pissed that Naraku wouldn't fight him. And if you learn it watching the show, Naraku, so far, he's already used 2 people, Shishomaru and Royal-Con, to try and fight Inuyasha for him. So you can tell he's not a fighter. In fact, the moment Inuyasha got his sword out, Naraku was already leaving. He was like, well, I'm not gonna fight you. And then there's a song change at the end. I was waiting for it. I think it's called Fuge More, or Deep Forest, I think is the name of the song. And I love this song. I have most of the songs on my iPod, but yeah, I love this ending theme. It actually just has Shomu really in it, but Yeah, I was waiting for the song change. The beginning thing is still the same. I know it's gonna change sooner or later. It might change the next episode, but yeah, we'll see. So those have been two. The last four episodes have been like plot driven. I don't think the next one is filler though. So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I like, Inuyasha Kagome's relationship is kind of flourishing, and what did Moroku do? He did some stuff in this episode. He was fighting and stuff like that. He recovered pretty quickly from the poison, actually. Still goes back to my question of what exactly was in that soda can that Kagome had. And why don't she give some to Inuyasha? Oh, I forgot about this. There's no continuity with Inuyasha's fire rat coat in this episode, because it's kind of confusing, because he's not wearing it at some points, and then he's wearing it at other points. When he confronts Naraku, he's wearing it, but then when he goes into the miasma and is fighting, he doesn't have it on, I think. I don't know. There's no continuity with that. I think he didn't have his jacket on earlier. I don't know. I was just like, there's no continuity with that. Something's missing. But yeah, that's it for that episode. We're already 21 episodes in. I can't wait for the next one, guys, and I'll see you later.